Hey there! Today's video I'm going to be giving you a little bit of information about something that I think is a fairly unusual camera. It's called a Kodak Autographic, more specifically a number 2A folding Autographic Brownie. This camera is a medium format camera designed to take 1/16mm film, and it actually has a very unusual feature which I'll cover in a second. The way this camera opens is you pull down this lever right here, and the bed struts lock all the way out. The bellows then extend and latch into these little clips here, which are marked for 30 feet to 100 feet, 8 feet to 25 feet, and what it looks like 2.5 feet to 8 feet. So it's really got three positions. There's a small locking lever here, which allows you to move it around in the different clicks. I got very lucky with this camera, as I actually received it for free from a coworker who basically had it in their basement, didn't know what to do with it, figured they'd give it to me because they knew I was into vintage cameras like this. This camera has some issues, and I will be doing future videos covering its restoration, but right now I'm going to cover the overall camera. The reason why they call this an autographic camera is because it has a feature right here that was designed for use with autographic film. Autographic film is film that had a special backing paper. What you would do is you would have an iron stylus and you would write right here, and that would basically thin out the backing paper, and leaving this door open would let the light come through, and it would basically expose through the thinned out backing paper onto the actual film itself, giving you what today would be considered a EXIF imprint onto the film. So you could put the name, the title, the date, any kind of information like that, which would then be imprinted between the frames in the film. Other than that, it's fairly standard for your regular folding camera. You have your red window here for counting your frames, your winding key right here. A lot of you may be familiar with these folding cameras. It has a viewfinder right here, which you look down. It's like reflective, so it's a waist level finder. I was actually very pleased to see that this camera had a fairly fast lens as far as brownies are concerned. I'll get a close-up shot of this in a second, but it's actually got a variable shutter marked for 1/25th of a second, 1/50th of a second, 1/100th of a second, bulb and time exposure, and the f-stops look like they're marked from, can't really tell, but it's got 64, 32, 16, 8, and I'm assuming down here it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of f5.6 or f6.3. I will be taking this lens and mounting it on my speed graphic so that I can get kind of an idea of the optical properties of this lens to see how it can really perform when I have it on a camera that's got much more variable focus, really get a locked in shot and see how it looks. But for now, I think that I'm going to leave it on here temporarily. I'm really fascinated though by the old Eastman Kodak Company logo, and again I'll give you a close-up in a second of the front of this camera. The leather leaves a little bit to be desired, and it looks like it might have some mold discoloration spots here, so I'm going to have to go over it with some neat's foot oil and maybe a little black polish to clean it up, but first I'm going to have to use probably something like a concrobium, give it a wipe down, make sure all the mold spores are killed, because the last thing I want to do is get that mixed up the rest of my camera equipment. The bellows I'm going to have to take a look into, make sure that I have a good way of sealing the pinholes, because it looks like it's got pinholes through all the folds in the corners, and I don't want to make the bellows too stiff. At the same time, they are a little bit brittle while intact, so I want to make sure I preserve that before they get cracked or anything like that. I have seen several autographics before, and the corners of the bellows basically look like waffle cheese, like cheesecloth. So as far as autographics I've seen are concerned, this is actually one of the better ones. So I think it's going to be a good candidate for restoration. I'm going to see if I can run it with 120 film. So I will keep video updates on the progress of this camera. Your aperture is right here. Your shutter speed is right here. This is the trigger right here. I am noticing the lens is a little bit sticky, so that's something else I have to fix on this camera. Let me open up the close-up. Alright folks, here's a close-up of the front of the camera right here. You can see the shutter speeds, which are fairly interesting. The fact that they're actually marked in kind of the scenario in which you would use it: clear, brilliant, or moving objects. This is predating light meters by quite some time, really at least light meters in common usage. So it's basically designed for the everyman. It's a brownie. You see right here, you can, hold on, try not to get in the way here. It looks like they have a sort of a hyperfocal distance here with the aperture. Marine, clouds, snow, distant view, average view, near view, portrait view. So it looks like they wanted to engineer the lens so it focused a little bit closer than normal. So it looks like the lens is actually probably going to near focus quite a bit, and it's relying on depth of field for getting sharp photos for a closer distance, which is going to be interesting. So we'll see what the images actually look like when I mount it to my speed graphic. And here's the back of the camera. You can see what I meant about the discoloration in the leather, possibly from mold or dust, or I mean, it might just be simply getting dried out, but the way that the patterns and the circles on it, I am more inclined to think mold, so I will give this a treatment before I do anything else with it. You can see here the autographic window. These loops right here look like they were designed to hold the iron stylus, which you would use to write in here, which would be directly scratching into the backing paper, causing the light to come through, and that's how the autographic feature worked. And just for fun, here is basically an interior view of the shell. You can see right here that when I open the window for the autographic, you'll see straight through, and it'll really give you an idea that you really are writing straight onto the backing paper of the film. Just literally taking your stylus and scratching onto the paper. This is the internal shell right here. It mounts directly in here, clips in, and it's got the rollers for the film right here. So the way it attaches, it just slides in here, grooves in like that, clips in, and that's how it locks and reattaches. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the number 2A folding autographic brownie camera. Please subscribe to my channel for future videos on other historical cameras, and also for the restoration updates on this camera as well. Also, check me out, give me a like, Eric Smith Portrait and Event Photography on Facebook. This is Graflex Guy, signing out.